I have just a couple of questions rather than just comments, following up on what you've heard so far. As the commissioners know, the zoning board needs to agree that the plan here is consistent with the DC comprehensive plan in order to approve the project. The zoning board also, regulations also stated for a PUD, there's a 65-foot height limit for a PUD. GDS has decided to propose something that is not consistent with either one of those two requirements, and so I guess I'd ask GDS why they do that. Why not follow what is expected both on the plan and what the zoning regulations say about height?
Sure. So, Dennis, I say this as not as a development expert, but as somebody who's learned a little bit along the way. And one of the things that I think it's important to say to the room is throughout this process, there, as I shared, on traffic, we have had a fairly consistent message from the community on density and what's good for Washington and what's good for Tenleytown. We have heard a range of views and perspectives, and that is included in our conversations with the Office of Planning in DC. There is a belief that close to metro stations, having residential density makes a lot of sense for the vibrancy of a community. Part of what GDS is hoping to do is put that density along Wisconsin Avenue. We, as many of you will know, the building as originally designed was using the sort of technical measurement 90 feet, and GDS, in engaging with the neighbors, recently made a decision to lower that building height to 80 feet. It's been interesting in the wake of that. We've had two kinds of reactions. We've had some folks who have said to Georgetown Day School, that's not enough. We've had others who have said, that's crazy, it's too much, we need the density, and for the community, you should have a 90-foot building. And so we have heard both of those strongly worded perspectives, and our view is that, and we're working with developers and we're working with terrific architects, that this is appropriate for this part of Washington.
Zoning regulations say height limit of 65 feet. Everybody on Wisconsin Avenue that's building a building today has built over the last 10 years meets that standard. Why aren't you going to meet that standard? The same is true with the comprehensive plan. Your buildings are way above our high-rise buildings that are higher on 42nd Street than they are on the massing on Wisconsin Avenue, as you pointed out. They're not, on the south end of this building, it's 97 feet. It's only 80 feet on Wisconsin. The part of this building that faces the residential neighborhood west of 42nd Street, the low-rise school west of 42nd Street, is right across the street from this 97-foot building. There are no attempts here to mitigate that 97-foot wall on 42nd Street. The people who presented before you today are a year behind you. They are already proposing major setbacks from their residential community. They meet the height standards of PUD you can see from what they're proposing. You're not doing anything. Why not propose some setbacks or townhouse-like structures, not just entryways into a 97-foot building, something that mitigates that height and transitions it back into the low-rise residential community to the west and your own school?
So, from a zoning perspective, Phil, are you comfortable speaking to that, either Phil?
It's not a technical question.
Really,
I think this is a policy question.
Yeah, no, the quick point of clarification that Phil could have provided is that to go above 65 feet, they have to rezone the property from C2A to C2B. But the rest of it is policy, so.
Right.
Well, all my questions are policy. There are ways to do what you want to do, I presume.
Okay,
otherwise
let's
you wouldn't have proposed. The question is why.
Let's let Russell answer.
Money.
Shh. Come on, let's try and be respectful. Russell?
We, again, as we look at Tenleytown, we think that what is being proposed can provide a terrific, vibrant residency in the neighborhood that will successfully engage with the neighborhood, that will feed good retail, and that will indeed support the mission of our school. So we have, and I guess the other thing I would say is our architects and the school has met with neighborhood groups repeatedly through the year and have made a number of changes to the project along the way based on input. And the final thing I would say is, we will file and we recognize that we will continue to engage with the community, with the neighborhood through the zoning process.
Okay. So I've got a lot of folks. I'm going to get you, and then I'm going to get you, and then we'll take another tranche. So, okay.
Thank you. I'm Joanne Lynn. I'm a resident on Ellicott Street. My family's been there for the past 11 years, and I think we, like many families, chose to move into the Tenleytown AU Park area because it's unique, I actually think, in the whole Washington, D.C. region, where you can have our students walking to their elementary, middle, and high schools, which are owned and claimed by the community. So my favorite 15 minutes of each day is when my son and I, my 8-year-old son and I, either walk or bike down Ellicott. We turn onto 42nd, we pass GDS, and we eventually cross river and get to Janney. I wonder and worry about whether that can continue under this scenario. Russell outlined a number of structural changes, and I wanted to also suggest one, additional one. I don't know if you call it structural, but I think the timing of the start of school is critical here. Like, I don't know what GDS's normal start time is, but I would encourage that all traffic be cleared by 8 a.m. because the neighborhood traffic of kids, and these include pre-K kids, walking to Janney, they are on foot by 8:10. And it's a migration. It's a beautiful migration to witness, and I hope that that can continue. I also would encourage, I like to see the 4 ways to go to school. I would encourage 3. And here I'm looking to the Potomac School in Virginia, where my understanding is they require all students to either be there walk there via, foot or biking or by bus. Because what I worry about principally from a carpool perspective, especially the lower school, which is going to be hitting Ellicott, where there are a lot of neighbors, is that it's going to be the younger kids at GDS whose parents are going to be dropping them off, understandably. So I worry about the congestion, the traffic flow on Ellicott, and how that's going to also contribute to increased traffic. Ellicott's already being used as a thoroughfare from River to Wisconsin and vice versa. I'd love to see GDS's traffic calming ideas for Ellicott as well. Beyond that, I have specific questions about the new egresses, proposed egresses on Ellicott and River. River already, as we know, during rush hour traffic is one steady flow coming from Maryland. There are prohibited left-hand turns off of River into these streets feeding into Ellicott and Fessenden. And actually 43rd Place, I think, is one of the only places you can make a left. So how do you envision cars coming down River Road going towards Tenleytown making a left onto GDS? So that's one question. And I do want to hear more about this traffic cycle patterns going into the Ellicott egress. And
Can I answer the ones you said so far, because
Okay.
I'll forget them?
Sure.
And then you because
That's good.
They're great. First of all, I love the image of you walking down Ellicott and walking down 42nd Street to school, and absolutely, that beautiful migration that you described needs to be able to continue, and it's incumbent on us to make sure that that can continue. I think that it makes and my hope is that this stretch of it will be lovely. And warm and engaging. So I absolutely get that. In terms of lower school drop-off, lower school, while there's drop-off that'll be happening underground, the main entrance to the lower school is over here. So it's in the heart of the campus, not over on Ellicott Street. Yeah, if you could advance and you go one slide.
No, since it's lower school, it's Ellicott.
This is essentially showing a combined view. I will tell you that the design right now is that the lower school's on the entire first floor of the school is the lower school. So the entrance and the lower school administration is right here. The top floor of the school is the middle school. So they have floors of the building as opposed to like this part is middle school. And I get that this is confusing. It's showing everything that's represented here, but it's really floors of the building. In terms of the issues that you raised around both specifically River and Ellicott, I'm going to invite Dan, Rob, from Grove Slade to speak just briefly to how that would work.
I would say that every point you just rose has already, in the past couple months, came across us, and we've been working on solutions for all those type of things. Yeah, and maybe diagrams like this are a little misleading. Underneath this, all of these entrances are planned to be connected. There will be a way to go across. We don't want people driving around the block. And one of the things Russell said, Ellicott isn't a key entrance point vision for the lower middle school. River, Davenport are kind of the key ways in. Ellicott is seen as an extra driveway that helps disperse traffic primarily to Wisconsin and able to get to the traffic signal there to turn left and right. We actually have parent surveys. We know where people, what zip codes people are going to and from after they drop kids off and where they're headed from to try to tailor the plan so that it works there. So we have envisioned actually no use of Ellicott coming in to that entrance. It's more of an exit valve to get back to Wisconsin after dropping somebody off.
It's more of an exit, or it's exclusively an exit? My understanding is it's exclusively an egress.
Exclusively an egress during high traffic times right now is because there's needs for the metro, there's needs for other things. You know, other times of the day might be fine to work as allowing traffic in and out, but at those high traffic times, basically the morning when people are dropping off, it's exit only South Envision.
So everybody
And
comes
also
in on,
right turn.
everybody
Yes.
comes in on Davenport?
You can come in on Davenport or River. The plan underground is that all the cars entering will enter a queue fairly. So there's not going to be any entrance point that will get you to the head of the queue first before you get the drop off. So that's
This constituent had a question there. What about left turns from
yeah.
River?
We have in our work over this summer developed some traffic models to help test what's going to happen. So we've actually analyzed that. We've sketched out, and we can provide that. I don't know if it's already on the website. There's a sketch of what we can fit here as far as we've tested queuing, backups here, and we have suggested a short little left turn pocket that will fit right here, and it won't require taking any of the spaces away from River Road on this side. And it, from what our traffic models are showing, it won't block up. That little left turn pocket is going to be big enough that it won't delay any traffic going southeastbound on River. So that's our current idea to make that River Road entrance not have any adverse impacts.
Can you clarify the start time for GDS, the peak traffic times in terms of cars leaving, and whether you would consider the three-way option?
So currently, peak drop-off time is about 7:30 to 8:15. One of the things that we are looking at is staggering between the divisions of the school, so that lower school carpool would be coming, for example, 7:30 to 7:45, middle school 7:45 to 8. I'm making up those numbers, but staggering it so that the traffic is dissipated over that broader time period. But that's the peak time. A clarification too, that what we're talking about here is during peak times is egress and only going right. So not egress and the ability to turn left onto Ellicott Street, but only to go right and come out to Wisconsin Avenue. In terms of three ways versus four, I will tell you that there is, this is a school that was founded by families 70 years ago, and families are still meaningfully engaged in the life of the school, coming in as volunteers, coming in to be part of the community, and that's something that that's important for the health and the vibrancy of the school. And we are confident that the four ways to get to GDS is going to meet a standard of no adverse impact on the neighborhood. So right now, that's the plan that we are embracing.